The Chicago Bulls have dominated the NBA in this decade. Familiar images evoke vivid memories of their 4 championships in a span of 6 years. In 1991, the Bulls showed they had some magic of their own and captured their first title. The following year, Michael Jordan's greatness surprised even him. In 1993, the Bulls became the first team to win 3 straight titles in nearly 30 years. And a year ago, Jordan led the Bulls to a record 72-win season and embraced another NBA title. Michael Jordan is now in the hunt for number 5. The Utah Jazz have never played in the NBA Finals. In 12 years together, John Stockton and Karl Malone have won over 600 games, but never the big one. That changed on Thursday night when Stockton and Malone combined to write a storybook finish, bringing the elusive dream of an NBA Finals to reality. Now these 2 teams embark on a journey toward a goal that only one of them will reach. The NBA Finals begin tonight.
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1997 NBA Finals. Tonight, it's Game 1. The Utah Jazz versus the Chicago Bulls.
Go!
What time is it? Game time!
The quest has begun for the Chicago Bulls as they gun for their 5th championship the past 7 years. For the Utah Jazz, it is their first trip to the finals in the history of the franchise. And we welcome you. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with Matt Guokas and Bill Walton. This is a meeting of the 2 teams with the best records in the NBA during the course of the regular season. The Chicago Bulls ripping through with 69 wins, although they certainly have their ups and downs. And then come postseason, although, Matt, the record shows 11 wins and 2 defeats, they were not on track right throughout. They had some problems in the postseason.
Well, that's the amazing thing about this Chicago team. They still have not played their best basketball. But here are some factors why they can win their 5th NBA championship. It's not just the triangle offense, but their ability to score off opponents' mistakes. And then it's second shots, led by Dennis Rodman. They defend so well with their experience and quickness, and they have taken advantage on this home court over the last 2 years, winning 17 of 18. And let's not forget Michael Jordan. His shooting has been streaky lately, but he makes up for it defensively and on the board. And it's hard to go against Michael Jordan and home court advantage, but with a subpar Scottie Pippen, I think Utah has an excellent chance to grab one of these first 2 games.
And Bill, for the Utah Jazz, it was a franchise record 64 victory season. They run through the playoffs in magnificent fashion. And here they are all set up. It's a genuine shot for Karl Malone and John Stockton.
Marv, a perfect season for Utah, but you don't get to this stage without absolutely an MVP player, and that has been Karl Malone throughout this season, start to finish. He is the game's best runner, the game's best shooter for the big man. He's the game's best passing big man. He's got the complete arsenal. He's their go-to guy. He will have the ball early, often, wherever down low. And then there's John Stockton. He's the little man out in front, the quiet guy, but this guy is deceptively tough. He does it all. He's become much more of a scorer lately. He does, though, whatever is needed. The big thing for Utah is that they have to realize that their game, great as it is, that's enough. They don't have to do anything special. Just play the way Utah always plays. They'll be right there, Marv.
All right, so coming up, it is Game 1 of the NBA Finals. The best of 7 about to get underway. When we come back in a moment, the always unique introduction of the starting lineups here in Chicago.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Miller Lite, who reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time. By the Ford F-150, strength after strength after strength. And by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. You don't have to live thirsty. Life is a sport. Drink it up.
A 58-degree cloudy day in the Windy City early evening in Chicago. And as always, we are joined by double coverage on the sideline. Ahmad Rashad and Jim Gray. Let's start with Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Marv. Now, Matt had mentioned in the open that the Chicago Bulls had not played their best basketball, and that is the center of concern for Michael Jordan. He told me that they have been very inconsistent offensively. He said they have made it through the playoffs to this point, playing well in bits and spurts, but he realizes that is not what it's going to take to get them past this Utah team. Now, in terms of Scottie Pippen has a soft tissue injury on his left foot, and he says he's going to warm up and see how it feels, and it'll be a game-time decision whether or not he will start. All right, let's go down to Jim.
All right, thank you very much, Ahmad. Well, I spoke to Karl Malone, and he told his team that being here is not enough. They expect and want to very badly win the championship. He told his teammates, hey, guys, we cannot be in awe of the Bulls. We cannot stand around and watch the Michael Jordan show. If we do, we're going to get blown out. He went on to tell me that they must match the intensity and not get rattled here in the United Center. He also said that we're a lot like the Green Bay Packers, old-fashioned from a small town. We're just going to come out and earn this thing. And finally, he said, hey, everybody's talking about the Chicago Bulls, but they've got to pay attention to us. We've got some great players, and I like our chances. Marv?
All right, thank you, Jim. And we're now set for the introduction of the lineups. And let's join in with the magic tones of the voice of the public address here at the United Center, Ray Clay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Chicago Bulls welcome the world's greatest fans to the United Center and the 1997 NBA Finals. Tonight's Game 1 of the NBA Finals is between the Utah Jazz and your Chicago Bulls. Now, let's meet tonight's starting lineups. First for the visiting Utah Jazz, at one forward from Long Beach State, 6'7", Brian Russell. At the other forward, 6'9", from Louisiana Tech, Karl Malone. At center, 7'2", out of Kansas, Greg Ostertag. At one guard, 6'1", from Gonzaga, John Stockton. And the other guard from Iowa State, 6'4", Jeff Hornacek. The Utah Jazz are coached by Jerry Sloan.
Well, as you heard in the introduction of the lineup, Scottie Pippen, who was a question mark, is in the Chicago starting 5, still feeling pain from the soft tissue injury at the bottom of his left foot, but he will give it a shot. Right now we have a special announcement. We'll rejoin the public address announcer, Ray Clay.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to center court. We are honored to have with us tonight one of the world's greatest living sports heroes and a national treasure. Please join us now in paying tribute to and welcoming the greatest heavyweight champion of all time, Mr. Muhammad Ali.
Well, the chant from this capacity crowd for Muhammad Ali is reminiscent of his emotional appearance at the Atlanta Olympic Games this past summer. You know, guys, maybe the only athlete in the world more famous, better known than Michael Jordan is that man, Muhammad Ali.
And Michael Jordan, Marv, spent time with Muhammad Ali for the first time in their lives. They got together behind the scenes in one of the locker rooms. It was a very moving moment today for Michael and Muhammad.
Oh, we saw Muhammad Ali at the gold medal game in Atlanta in this summer's Olympics, and you got the feeling that every player was looking for a photo opportunity, wanting just to be next to him and shake his hand and be a part of that ceremony.
The officials, Bill Oakes, Dan Crawford, Ed T. Rush. Let's keep an eye on Michael Jordan. Will he shake hands with Karl Malone? You recall the last game of the series between Chicago and Miami. Yeah, there it is. All right. No question about it here. Little touch between Jordan and Malone. It was not the Alonzo Mourning treatment. Game 1 of this best of 7 NBA final. Greg Ostertag and Luke Longley on the opening tip, and it's controlled by the Bulls. Scottie Pippen picked up by Brian Russell, and Michael Jordan being played by Jeff Hornacek goes to the post up and rebounded by Russell.
Well, no surprise that they would go inside to Michael, and I think Utah can live with him taking the jump shots at least to start.
Beautiful pass.
Yes, Karl Malone with the nice lead for John Stockton.
That's exactly the type of ball that Utah has to play, forcing the Bulls back underneath the basket. Great change of pace cut by Stockton.
And Longley had it knocked away. Russell with the save, and he called for the 22nd timeout.
I think that's a wasted timeout there by Utah. Too early to be calling him out just for a single possession.
All right, earlier we talked with Michael Jordan on a number of subjects, one of which, will he use the extra motivation in Karl Malone winning the most valuable player, beating out Michael? Will that be used for this series?
I think that's something that Karl's earned, and you know, people could easily said Michael Jordan was MVP this year, but they didn't. And to have animosity or any type of jealousy or use that individual accolade to motivate myself, I don't really want to. I think the motivation that I have is that, you know, we've been to the final 4 times and we're 4 straight. We're in 4 out of 4. This is the 5th time we're going to make it 5 out of 5. That's where my motivation comes. It's not individualistic to where I'm trying to prove something about the MVP. And I love to win, even if I'm not MVP.
Karl Malone, very aggressive offensively. Michael Jordan, the gracious competitor, maybe the most gracious of our time. But that does sting a little bit. He had a chance, a realistic chance of catching Jabbar at 6 MVPs.
All right, here's Jordan. So the Jazz up by the score of 4-2.
Well, so far, Utah has Michael taking the jump shot, fading away with John Stockton coming down to double.
Chicago's got Luke Longley guarding Karl Malone. That's going to keep Dennis Rodman out of foul trouble and allow him to sweep the defensive boards.
Yesterday, Karl Malone said he felt that he was borrowing the MVP trophy. He'd like to borrow one of the rings, one of those championship rings that is owned by Jordan. Jeff Hornacek, a Chicago area product being played by Michael Jordan. Malone now being taken by Longley. And here the early going. Phil Jackson is providing a number of looks on Karl Malone. The officials confer with each other. And the outside official, Dan Crawford, said last touch by Utah.
Well, in many cases, it's going to be difficult for Dennis Rodman to get back in transition with Karl Malone because Karl runs the floor so hard and Dennis goes to the offensive board.
And that a traveling violation.
Terrible start for Chicago. They look incredibly sluggish. Utah sharp. I think Karl Malone, when he gets Longley on him, can turn and face and get whatever he wants.
Well, in recent games, there have been very few periods of high-quality basketball played by the Chicago Bulls.
Not where I've been, out in the West.
That three-point shot is deflected to the crowd. Of course, you have not seen Eastern basketball in a while, Bill.
We do have television out there, Mark.
I think Chicago would be very happy for Karl Malone to take Luke Longley away from the basket and just shoot jumpers and not get people in foul trouble.
And again, Jordan to the post-up. Michael Jordan coming into tonight 20 for his last 66 over the last 2 games, which is very poor shooting at 30%. And both clubs having their difficulties at the start. The Jazz with a 4-2 lead. Luke Longley comes off a strong game against Miami.
Well, I was just about to say, the reason both teams struggling, they're settling for jump shots. That time a little transition and a nice finish by Longley.
Stockton got the step. He took Hopper off the dribble.
And one of the rare times you'll see Michael Jordan make a defensive error on the weak side. Turned his back, never saw the ball.
Utah by 2. We're just underway at the United Center in Chicago. Pippen passed on the 3. And a 3-second violation.
Well, the big men trying to get offensive rebounding positions on the shot they thought Scottie Pippen was going to take. Standing straight up is Ron Harper, and that's death against John Stockton. Too quick off the dribble. You're right, Bill. Michael Jordan looking the wrong way.
And very early 3 turnovers committed by the Bulls.
What a pass.
Oh, Malone, he saw Hornacek cutting inside and was able to find him. The Jazz 8 and the Bulls 4. Pippen for 3. Rebound handled by Ostertag.
That was just a quick jumper by Scottie Pippen to see what it would feel like. Dennis Rodman didn't even cross midcourt on the play.
Great start for Utah. Just keep playing this game. Karl's got to catch that pass, though. I mean, that's a player like John Stockton, who is the quickest decision maker in basketball, and I think that includes Michael Jordan. He's going to put that ball right on the money.
So that's the first turnover committed by Utah. Timeout called. 7:25 to go.
Anytime the ball goes into the post to Karl Malone, Utah will either look to split or cut from the weak side. But Michael Jordan, for the second time, has his head turned, and Jeff Hornacek is going to take advantage with Michael Jordan not alert on the weak side, as Karl Malone now with 2 assists, and this is where he has really improved his game.
You always want to attack a great offensive scorer, but it's Karl Malone who runs the floor perfectly, fights as a warrior in the low post, taking more jump shots lately. As a defender, he never goes up. He's always playing down low. The key against Karl is to try to keep him out of the middle and force him into that turnaround jumper.
And the Bulls have scored on only 2 of their first 9 possessions. Michael Jordan adding to that percentile. The Jazz 8 and the Bulls 6.
But in all 5 of their misses, the Jazz have got the defensive rebound, and that battle of the boards critical. Rodman 0 rebounds on the evening.
Stockton with the lead for Ostertag, but he lost the grip. Phil Jackson wanted a traveling violation.
Ostertag has to tear the basket down there. This is the finals.
Now Jordan backing Hornacek. Went to the fadeaway. Ostertag with the rebound.
Well, it's been exclusively Michael Jordan looking to score. Scottie Pippen is out there, but just floating, not really into the flow yet.
Team basketball again. Great block, Scottie Pippen.
Pippen with the recovery to stop Stockton. Here's Harper with room. And again, it's Ostertag.
Marv, Utah defensively is not double teaming, even on Jordan. They've got the whole concept of team beats individual. It works against everybody else they played this year.
And Karl Malone able to keep it alive. Along with Ostertag and Russell up front. Hornacek, Stockton in the backcourt. Longley got a piece of it. The block by Longley on Malone.
Quiet crowd here in Chicago.
Well, that's usually been the tone at the start. Foul on Hornacek.
One possession back when Scottie makes the great extension. Remember, he's dragging that leg a little bit. You see the grimace. This is the first exercise Scottie has had since the closeout game against Miami, when he only played 7 minutes.
And the first foul committed by either team. 5:45 left in the first. Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen played only 7 minutes, game 5 against Miami here on Wednesday night. The injury called not serious, but very painful.
When you have that kind of injury, it's a little bit easier to play offense because you know where you're going. But on defense, when you have to react, that's when it'll sting you.
Here's Malone.
No box out.
Russell. And he drew the foul. Karl Malone is now 1 of 6 from the field. Scottie Pippen is called on this foul.
Marv, you say not serious. That's because it's not on your foot. Scottie Pippen.
That is always a consideration, it should be pointed out.
Scottie Pippen able to deliver the jump hook, but you can see him standing favoring one leg. Not a good sign long term for Chicago in this series.
Well, what I thought was going to be such a big factor in this game one was for Chicago to come out just firing defensively as they did in the clincher against Miami last Wednesday. But with both Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen falling asleep on defense as they had, it hasn't occurred yet.
Utah 10, Chicago 8. As we come up on 5 minutes to go in the first. Jordan lost it, but got it back to Longley. And the Bulls very fortunate. Michael was able to deflect it back to Luke Longley. The game tied at 10. Utah's missed its last 6 shots. Longley trying to front Malone, who was able to beat him, but not able to hit. Ostertag with the tip will not count.
Karl Malone has missed some easy shots. They can't get frustrated with that. That happened to him during the road games in the Western Conference. But Utah has been out great in front of every team, every game, with the exception of the Karl Malone 2 for 20 game. Utah very happy with this start.
Foul on Ostertag. Steve Kerr has come on, replacing Ron Harper. The game is tied at 10 with 4.5 to go. First quarter, the pass intended by Pippen. Intended to Pippen. And here's Hornacek getting it down. Russell for 3. Rebounded by Malone. He's been off. 1 of 8 from the field for Karl Malone.
Mark, these two teams rarely play against each other, just 2 times a year. Karl is offensive foul here, whistled against the Bulls. But Karl Malone, he has to find out the defensive range of Luke Longley, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman. Here's Karl with a great offensive rebound. Not really sure if Longley can get off the ground. I'm not sure either.
Scottie Pippen was called for that foul, his second, and he'll take a seat. Tony Kukoc, who has struggled because of the leg injury, has checked in for the first time, and Howard Eisley, the 3-year man from Boston College, has come on. Foul is called on Ostertag, offensive foul. That is his second.
And Luke Longley hasn't had to get off the ground yet because Karl Malone is not making him work. I think he's got to step outside, face up, either take the jump shot if he has it, or beat Luke Longley off the dribble. And on the clock substitution by Utah, Jerry Sloan always taking John Stockton out on that first stoppage of play after 6 minutes. Phil Jackson taking advantage to get Steve Kerr into the ballgame to get a perimeter threat.
And both Phil Jackson and Jerry Sloan doing some shuffling. Judd Bushler has come on, as has Greg Foster for Utah, with just under 4 minutes remaining in this first quarter. As Rodman, who has been very offensive-minded in the last couple of games. Utah's missed its last 9 shots, 4 of 18 from the field. Rodman now defending against Malone. Malone, yes, only his second field goal.
Probably one of the reasons why Phil Jackson wanted to keep Rodman off. Has trouble defending in the post against a player like Malone. Dennis is almost better off playing a big guy like Shaquille O'Neal. He just does not play power forwards that well.
Open shot for Kukoc. Tony Kukoc with a three-pointer. And the Bulls lead by 1.
Now, how important is that for Chicago? With Scottie Pippen struggling, the Bulls are going to need an all-around game from Tony Kukoc.
Isley gets it out to Malone. Rodman reaching for that rebound. That's his second board.
Nice denial of the outlet pass by Brian Russell, forcing Kukoc to walk it up.
And the basketball count whistle against Utah. And the foul is charged to Greg Foster. 2 minutes and 42 seconds to go in this first quarter. Look at Malone posting up on Rodman. And for Karl Malone, a rare bucket. He struggled, only 2 of 10 from the field in this first quarter.
Tony Kukoc comes right back with a very strong, long bomb to put the Chicago Bulls up early.
Ahmad Rashad back in Chicago. Now the big story going in this game was Scottie Pippen's left foot. He did play some in the first quarter, and then he has been on the bench. I just talked to him a moment ago. He said he's in extreme pain. He really can't push off on the left foot. I asked him, was he going to continue to play? He said he wants to. It's whether or not they'll let him play. Mark?
Artemani played the first 5 minutes, 1 of 2 from the field. His absence obviously a major loss. Many ways he has been the Bulls' most valuable player of the postseason. Tony Kukoc from long range and kept alive as Bushler was able to tap it to Rodman.
And that's just the first second chance opportunity for Chicago, the best offensive rebounding team in the league.
Kick ball is indicated against Utah, so Bulls maintain possession. They'll get the new 24.
Scottie's foot is bothering him that much. He should not come back in. This series is going to go very long. They need him at full strength, not half or less.
Bulls lead 13-12 with 2:15 remaining in the first. Jordan, yes. Michael Jordan telling us earlier he would not force the issue. Trying to work out of the throes of a mini slump, but he said he'd let the game come to him. Well, he's attempted 6 shots. He's 3 of 6 from the field. Just under 2 minutes to go in this opening quarter. Here's Russell. Rebounded by Rodman. 3 Chicago players to the boards.
Wild shot by Brian Russell. He wanted it early against Jordan in the post. They waved him off. He was determined to shoot when he got it back. Jordan.
And Malone off the box out.
Mark, Utah is controlling their defensive board, something Seattle could not do last year. Gave them absolutely no chance to win the championship. That's going to be key. Who wins the battle of the boards?
And a strong move by Malone going straight down the lane for his 3rd bucket. The Bulls lead by 1 with 1:10 left in the first.
And with Scottie Pippen's problems, Tony Kukoc becomes more and more important as a playmaker.
Judd Bushler, who has been a major contributor throughout the playoffs. Judd, a 7-year man from University of Arizona. His playing time has been spotted, but usually gives consistent minutes. Once again, it's Rodman on Malone. Malone is feeling for Rodman, and a foul is called. It's kind of a touch foul that was indicated.
I think it's going to be on Steve Kerr off the ball, who has a bit of a left-hand problem. He heard it on the play before at the defensive end. Howard Isley, when he cut to the basket, kind of hung in the lane looking for a return pass from Malone, and Steve Kerr tried to push him out of there.
Real quick, Utah 2 for 1 here opportunity.
Isley, Howard Isley, who has done the job off the bench. Usually comes on to spell John Stockton in his 3rd year out of Boston College. 2nd round pick of Minnesota originally, and then on to San Antonio, the CBA, and Utah.
And he's played marvelous basketball. He's got the toughest role in the entire NBA backing up Stockton. One-on-one Jordan to close it out.
We're down to 10 seconds left in the first. The Bulls have a 1-point lead. Isley trying to put moves on Kerr. Down to 2 seconds, and Isley hits. What a shot by Howard Isley. Buechler fires it up. Did well with a hand in his face to have that kind of power.
A flat performance by the Bulls. Very sharp by the Jazz. They need to shoot better, though.
So after 1, it's the Jazz 18 and the Bulls 17. Utah only 8 of 24. Chicago only 8 of 20. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
You're watching the NBA Finals on NBC.
Karl Malone has brought his MVP game tonight. 11 shot attempts already. That's terrific. You see the numbers going down from in the paint. The team's forcing him to take those jumpers, but it's all come together early. The jumper in Rodman's face early on, and then when the defense collapses, Cutter's always on the move. Easy layup, burning the Bulls defense, and then a shot that Bill Russell couldn't even stop, much less Dennis Rodman. Shot chart for Karl Malone. Everything good in red, all on the left side of the court. A lot of easy misses on that right side. Unused to the Bulls' interior defense of Longley and Rodman.
Second quarter underway here in Chicago. Marv Albert, Matt Guokas, Bill Walton, along with Ahmad Rashad and Jim Gray. 1 point, Utah lead. Now Brian Williams on the floor for the first time. A beautiful pass again. Malone finding Foster.
Well, it appears that Karl has been hesitant when he's catching in the post, but what he is doing is expecting the double team when he puts the ball on the floor, and when they have, he's found the open man.
Randy Brown has come on for the first time. Here's Kukoc for 3. Tony Kukoc with his second 3-pointer. And Kukoc had been struggling right throughout the playoffs. In fact, against Miami, had a very poor series, only 6 of 27 from the floor. Brown off the steal. He has Stockton back, goes to the pull-up, and hits. The Bulls lead by 2.
Randy Brown will be a critical factor in this series for the Bulls. The time he spends on Stockton. Stockton has not exerted himself offensively, trying to draw a foul on the cut-through right now.
Stockton. And here's Russell. Offensive foul. In a difficult start. Brian Russell 0 for 4 from the field.
And Jerry Sloan unhappy with that call, thinking Tony Kukoc too far underneath the rim to take that charge on Brian Russell. So far, Kukoc giving it to the Bulls at the offensive end, and an unexpected nice play at the defensive end.
Shandon Anderson, the rookie from Georgia, has played so well. He's come on for the first time. That's a traveling violation on Brian Williams. Minute and a half gone by in the second quarter. And it's the Bulls 22 and the Jazz 20.
Phil Jackson looking out on the floor, trying to figure out where the Jazz will go right now, with Karl Malone getting a breather. John Stockton will be the man to decide what happens there.
Antoine Carr usually just steps right in and takes all the shots. They run the same plays for him. Maybe not as many cross screens. He's not as good a passer, but an outstanding low post scorer, Antoine Carr.
Kukoc got it back to Brown. And the rebound handled by Carr. Traveling violation. What a play by Hoffer. That caused the travel. Stockton had no room to operate. Timeout call. 2:03 gone by. We're in the second quarter. It's the Bulls by 2 points.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by United Airlines, heading in a different direction. United Airlines, rising. By Acura, the true definition of luxury. Yours. And by Mountain Dew, who reminds you to do the do.
Now there's the city of big shoulders, and a lot rides on the shoulders of Tony Kukoc. Anytime he hits that first three, usually a good sign for the Bulls. A good passer finding Buechler, and then stepping up in the lane, taking that charge from Brian Russell. But the playoffs have been very nasty to Tony Kukoc. All right in the first couple of rounds, but really slumping tremendously against Miami, unable to find his shot.
But his foot is killing him. I was with Tony in the locker room before the game. He says it's just nothing but trouble. Can't run, can't push off. He's just trying to get through it so it'll get better for next season.
Yeah, he's been forcing it back from that strained right arch. Had problems with the foot all season. Tony Kukoc off the spin. Couldn't hit that one. 22-20. Bulls up with 9.5 remaining in this first half. Chris Morris on the floor for the first time. It's Foster. Good ball movement by the Jazz.
All of that set up by the deadly cross screen by John Stockton. And what you try to do defensively is bump him off so he can't get a good look. But Randy Brown bumped him right into the screen.
The Jazz's ball movement has been far superior, as has their rebounding. If they had any kind of touch on their jumpers, particularly Carl, they'd have a 10-point lead here.
Karl Malone is sitting down at the moment, 3 of 11 from the field, 6 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Foul one travel called on Stockton, but a foul committed. And it's against Chicago. It is on Brown. Well, you can chat with a member of the Chicago Bulls. Join Bulls forward Jud Buechler in a live chat session tomorrow. It's Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on NBA.com, the official website of the NBA. Jerry Slow now has a backcourt of Stockton and the rookie Anderson. He has Foster with Carr and Morris up front. Michael Jordan making his return. Michael Jordan, 3 of 8 from the field, 6 points. The Jazz up by 1, 23-22. And Chicago with Jordan and Brown at the guards, Pippen, Kukoc, and Williams on the front line. Now Jordan played by the rookie Anderson. Michael Jordan shooting over Brandon Anderson.
Utah clearly has made the decision not to double team. Jerry Sloan does not want everybody else getting layups. More importantly, keep them off the offensive glass.
Foster feeling it. Greg Foster has the good touch. A guy who's made the rounds a couple of years at Washington, Atlanta, Milwaukee, Chicago, Minnesota, Utah.
He got his start at UCLA. That was the big
Yes, he did. Randy Brown. Actually, you look at his record, it sounds like Matt Gucci's itinerary.
Stockton throwing himself in. They called the offensive foul that time.
And for Stockton, it is his first.
Well, Greg Foster has found a home here and has a role much like Bill Wennington for the Chicago Bulls. John Stockton, so quick on that crossover, just runs Michael Jordan right out of there. A little extra acting on the part of Michael.
That's not a foul.
Here's Pippen. Pippen on the follow.
That's the way to dive on the floor.
Good hustle by Morris to guide it to Anderson. Utah by 1. It's game 1 of the best of 7 NBA Finals Series. Game 2 here in Chicago on Wednesday, right here on NBC, starting 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Chris Morris never shy about firing from all angles, and looked like Foster and Kukoc and Anderson got involved.
Are you trying to say, Marv, that Chris Morris made up his mind what he was going to do as soon as he caught that ball? Although that play was kind of called for him, anything popping up off the weak side, and he is a three-point threat, but he didn't even see the basket when he let the ball.
Utah should come back to Greg Foster. He's the one with the hot hand.
That last foul was called on Anderson, and then again away from the ball. Brown went flying. And Foster picks up his second. Timeout is being indicated. That's the second team foul committed by Utah. Chicago with just one. The Jazz by one. We played 5 minutes of the second. Statline and Karl Malone and John Stockton in the early going. Well, guys, this is always a category that some outstanding players, whatever the sport, have a tough time dealing with. Even in the NBA, some refer to it as the Ernie Banks category. Great players who have not been able to win a title, and two of those players on the court today in the uniform of the Utah Jazz, and John Stockton and Karl Malone.
And one just eliminated, Charles Barkley. A very emotional scene in Houston Thursday night.
7:04 remaining in this first half. The Jazz by one. Let's check in with Jim Gray. Jim?
All right, thank you, Mark. During that timeout, Jerry Sloan very happy with the defensive effort of the Utah Jazz. He said offensively, however, you must set and hold your screens and take much better shots. Unhappy with the shot selection. Mark?
All right, Jim, and a fine shot selection on the part of Michael Jordan, who had the tongue wagging and put the move on and split right through and was able to hit.
Going to work on rookie Shandon Anderson, but no help from Antoine Carr, who was supposed to step up and trap that pick and roll. Michael just too quick.
Anderson just beaten on the play. Randy Brown was just called for a foul, and another foul against the Bulls. It's on Jordan, his first.
Speaking of trapping the pick and roll, Stockton caught along the baseline, and Jordan just came in and was karate chopping.
10 points for Jordan on 5 of 10 shooting. Randy Brown now defending on John Stockton. Here's Carr. Beautiful move by Antoine Carr, the 13-year professional from Wichita State, the original big dog for Milwaukee's Bill Robinson. Look out, Brown hit the floor, shake it up. Ryan Williams checking him over. Foul was called on Carr.
Got right out of the triangle offense. Brian Williams, only 9 regular season games, but has a feel for this play. When he gets in the post, who's ever in the corner will make that baseline cut. He found Randy Brown.
Well, let's take a listen to this. You'll see at full speed.
The thing that's been so impressive about this game so far, Mark, and what I think will hold up throughout this series is that you got the two best passing teams in basketball today. In this era of individualism and athleticism, you got great teamwork going both sides.
First time that the Bulls have been at the free throw line. Here's Karl Malone making his return, replacing Greg Foster. Did a nice job. 3 of 3 from the field. 6 points for Foster. And Dennis Rodman will come on for Tony Kukoc, who contributed with 6 points.
And Bill, because they are the two best passing teams, they are the two highest scoring teams in the league at 103 a game. But this is ridiculous here so far in the first half. Both teams with 27 points, mainly because they're playing just half-court basketball. Nobody get anything going in transition.
Jazz, they don't turn it over. It's going to be difficult for Chicago to force Utah into mistakes.
Bulls have a 1-point lead. We're halfway through the first half. Morris strip. Stockton recovers. Shot clock running down. Here's Anderson for 3. And Carr able to get to it. Nice pass from Anderson. Anderson with the setup.
Utah playing the team game. Everything for Chicago, one-on-one off the dribble, particularly Jordan and Kukoc.
Michael Jordan has 12, and the Bulls lead by 1.
Michael's eyes are wide as saucers right now going against rookie Shandon Anderson.
Meanwhile, at the other end, Shandon Anderson enjoying himself.
The Bulls have not played a team like this in a long time.
Shandon Anderson, a second-round draft pick. Utah did not have a number 1. The opening for Scottie Pippen. That's his second field goal. And the Bulls lead now 32 to 31. Shannon Anderson during the regular season provided a major lift. He's the brother of Willie Anderson, who spent time with the Miami Heat.
And the Utah Jazz have not played a team anything like the Chicago Bulls with their triangle offense, ball movement, and player movement as Michael Jordan just rises up on Shannon Anderson. And then the little handoff, one hand, just a touch pass as Scottie Pippen finishing, but not falling, but coming down gingerly on that left foot.
The previous foul was called on Dennis Rodman. Now Bill Oakes over the scorer's table. And indicating a technical foul on Chicago Bulls assistant coach Tex Winter. Apparently that triangle that was thrown by Tex in the wrong color.
It was an isosceles triangle rather than an equilateral triangle.
Tex, a very quiet gentleman on the bench, but obviously, as we all know, you can't hit a nerve. Well, all times.
And it's probably not just the first time Tex has said something in this game. He's probably been pecking away.
Out of physical action.
Settle down, Utah. Play your game.
4.5 left in the second quarter. And a travel shot on Anderson.
Utah is attacking Michael Jordan. You know, they've bought into Jerry Sloan. Look, don't get intimidated by this guy. He's going to do his thing. He's going to have a great game. But you got to come back and get your game going, too. The Jazz have established themselves.
7 turnovers committed by Utah, 7 by Chicago. Jordan with the open shot. And Carr reaching for that rebound. The game tied at 32.
Good stab defense by Scottie Pippen to slow down.
Shot clock at 7. Down to 3. Malone. Yes. Karl Malone has 10 points. It's the Jazz 34 and the Bulls 32.
It used to be, oh, goodness gracious sakes alive.
That's almost a frustration shot because right now Dennis Rodman having problems guarding Karl Malone.
Karl feels it. They got a double team and get it out of his hands.
Last touch by Brown.
Dennis Rodman just does not close quick enough on Karl Malone. The shot clock is winding down. Karl knows he's going to have to put up a shot, but just by creating space there, gets far enough away from Dennis Rodman, who got a hand up, but way too late.
Stockton got the step. John Stockton with his 4th field goal. He has 8 points and 4 assists. The Jazz leading by 4 as we approach 3 minutes to go in the first half.
What a pass.
Rodman is fouled by Carr.
Again, the offensive rebounding and court savvy and presence of the Jazz, giving him more shots. Stockton has been passing early. That freezes the defense. Not a great leaper. Not blazing speed, but great quickness. And depth change of reception.
Dennis Rodman serving up the air ball. A reminder, on Wednesday, we hope you join us back here in Chicago, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 o'clock Pacific. Game 2 of the NBA Finals. It's the Bulls and the Jazz. Game 2, Wednesday, 9 o'clock Eastern, right here on NBC.
Jazz killing Chicago on the boards, 23-14.
Air ball being played by Rodman. What we've seen here in the first half by Chicago, and those who have been watching the Bulls as of late can't be surprised they have not been playing their best basketball during the playoffs, despite the record of 11-2 during the playoff run. Bad pass by Brian Williams, leading to another Chicago turnover. Rodman gambled. Malone could not take advantage. Pippen with the rebound.
Carl didn't have good balance that time, but the Utah Jazz are overplaying every post-entry pass.
Again, the hesitation by Pippen that led to the turnover. Stockton for three. John Stockton, the hero the other night against the Houston Rockets, which put the Utah Jazz into the finals by virtue of his three-pointer. Just hit that open three-point shot to extend to a 7-point Utah lead.
Chicago doesn't make many mistakes either, but a bad play by Scottie Pippen at the other end got Utah into their transition game, and John Stockton nailed it.
Moments away.
Bench production for the Jazz on fire. Isley first of all, and then Greg Foster comes in. The jumper's going down. The shooting percentage skyrocketing for the Jazz here in the second quarter as Antoine Carr drills that jumper. 60% for the Jazz in the second after 33% to open it up tonight.
And Utah getting the help off the bench. 7-0 run by the Jazz. They lead it 39-32. Here's Jordan. Rodman with the tip. Rodman again. And took a poke in the eye.
Take advantage. Karl Malone quickly. Rodman is confused. Scottie helped him out.
Minute 35 remaining. First half. Marv Albert, Matt Dukas, Bill Walton, Bob Rashad, Jim Gray from the United Center. Game one of this best of 7 NBA Final Series. Steve Kerr back on the floor. Scottie Pippen posting up. Michael Jordan being played by Brian Russell. Jordan receiving a number of looks here in the first half, and the foul is called on Anderson.
Well, the Bulls have been very quiet on the offensive glass so far in this first half, but Dennis Rodman volleyballing the ball to himself a couple of times, but Karl Malone coming in there at the end of the play, catching Dennis Rodman right in the eye.
Well, I like the volleyball. You know, that's coming up in Chicago in 3 weeks here.
That was for you,
The
Bill.
beach volleyball, yes.
And Pippen making his first appearance at the line. He has 5 points. Dennis still trying to shake things off.
Never fun to get an elbow to the face, particularly by a man as big and strong as Karl Malone.
The Utah lead is now 3 with 1:10 left in the first half. So the matchup is Kerr on Stockton. Hornacek is back, played by Jordan. Hornacek got the step. Rodman with the save. Dangerous save, but Longley was able to retrieve.
Marv Hornacek's had a tough day of it. 1 for 3. Shandon Anderson was playing better. Jerry Sloan decided to come back with his main guy, though.
And Greg Ostertag is also back on the floor defending on Rodman. Jordan. Rodman. Terrific ball instincts, and he fires. Dennis a bit encouraged from recent development. Pippen on the loose ball. One of his great skills. And he's brought the Bulls within 1.
The Jazz falling asleep, I think, dulled beyond belief when Dennis took that three-point shot.
Utah by 1. We're down to 15 seconds in the half.
High scoring first half.
You're talking Easton style. Russell for 3. Just did beat the 24. And that is his first field goal. Final seconds of the half. Halftime here in Chicago. Game 1 of the NBA Final Series. Karl Malone, 5 of 14, 10 points, 6 rebounds. Michael Jordan, 6 for 14 for 12 points. It's the Jazz 42 and the Bulls 38. And a storm of the Prudential halftime report in a moment.
This is the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Prudential, bringing strength and stability to America's families through insurance, healthcare, real estate, and financial services.
Halftime of Game 1 in Chicago with the Jazz leading the Bulls 42-38. John Stockton with 11 points and 4 assists. Karl Malone with 10 points and 6 rebounds. Michael Jordan leading the Bulls with 12 points. Hi, everybody. Hannah Storm along with Julius Erving, Peter Vesey, Mike Fratello. We'll discuss the first half in just a few moments. But first, the guy with the choir boy looks, but the nerves of steel, Utah's John Stockton. Interestingly, there are parallels between Stockton and Michael Jordan. Each of them came into the NBA in 1984. Both of them are two-time Olympians. and each is among the 50 greatest players in NBA history. But whereas Jordan has 4 championship rings, Stockton is playing in his first finals. Stockton spoke with Jim Gray.
The tie, 18. Shot, Jordan, it's over. The Utah Jazz select John Stockton of Gonzaga University.
When you went to college and you went through Gonzaga, what was your ultimate goal? What were you thinking? Everybody had thoughts for you, but what were you trying to obtain?
Really nothing. I never had hopes of even going really to the next level at any stage. As a 6th grader, I wanted to make the varsity someday. Hopefully, if the opportunity arose, I'd hope to make the varsity in high school someday. I had no idea a scholarship would ever come or anything beyond that.
The gold medals to the Olympic champions representing the United States of America.
1984, you attempted to make the Olympic team and were cut. And afterwards, Charles Barkley was cut. And you guys got into a car. What happened on that car ride?
Well, there were 4 or 5 guys cut at the same time. So we all rode to the airport, a long ride to the airport together. And mostly we listened to Charles. I was disappointed that I was cut. I missed my graduation the day I was cut. And that was important to me. But no, I've never looked back and felt like I wanted to show anybody. They said when we were cut, hey, if it had been another coach, maybe you'd have made it.
Make it 4 in 6 years.
Jazz has conceded defeat.
Did you ever feel, particularly maybe at some point this season, that window may have closed after the repeated chances of getting to the championship? Did you feel it was narrowing because of age?
No, not at all. I think that our old guys take very good care of themselves. Our young guys are getting better, not only better from last year, but better as the season has progressed. So I wouldn't limit this team by ever thinking that window was narrowing or closing.
John Stockton, to me, as a person, is unbelievable. And as a player, MVP award wouldn't be complete if he wouldn't have been there on our team this year. And our friendship run deeper than basketball.
Without Carl, none of us would have been close to that. He led us, he did all the big things. He was tremendous all season long and he deserved it, but we get a piece of it, all of us.
Russell will inbound at half court.
You see why John Stockton is one of the 5 best players I ever played against.
Stockton, open 3.
This kid is one of the greatest players to ever play in this game. He's a big player.
John Stockton sends the Utah Jazz to the NBA Finals.
I guess I don't want to take myself back to those moments and take away from the focus that's ahead of us. I have to prepare myself and help prepare this team to make our best run at the ultimate objective, and that's to win the championship.
John Stockton scored 15 points in the 4th quarter of that series-clinching win against Houston to lead the Jazz back from the deficit. And Peter, some people might be surprised that it was John Stockton who took over the game at that point.
I think, Hannah, people were stunned that he took over because he's not supposed to have a scorer's mentality, although he's leading the Jazz in shooting percentage in the playoffs. Usually teams play him for the pass and not the shot. And I've got an interesting insight into that he gave me during the All-Star game this past year. I asked him to sign my top 50 book for my 9-year-old son, and he did it. And I asked him to write something on it. He said, I don't do stuff like that. I said, well, why don't you write something about being unselfish? He said, I can't do that. He said, because sometimes you have to be selfish for the good of the team.
Now, Ron Harper is the tallest player who's guarded him in these playoffs, and he appears to be having some problems with Harper early. By our calculations, all 5 of Stockton's assists in the first half have come when Harper has not been guarding him. His 3 turnovers have come when Harper has been guarding him. And when we return, we'll talk more about the first half between the Jazz and the Bulls. But first, a message from Prudential and a word from the NBA. It's halftime in Chicago. in Game 1. Now let's talk about the first half, a half which saw both coaches go 5 deep in their benches, Doc. Can you compare the efforts by the non-starters in the first half?
I'll tell you, the reserves are clearly going to play major roles, not only in this half, but throughout this series. Tony Kukoc is getting some extra minutes here because of a slowed Scottie Pippen. He's hit a couple of three-pointers. He's played pretty good defense, but the Jazz bench has more than answered. Greg Foster has been great. Howard Isley's hit some shots. And then if you take Carr, you take Morris, you take the other guys on their bench. You know, for Utah Jazz basketball watchers, this has been the best bench in the league, superior to the Chicago Bulls bench, and they might make the difference in this whole series.
Meanwhile, Karl Malone struggling, missed some easy shots really early on, 5 for 14 shooting, Mike, but is he doing some other things to help his team have the lead at the half?
I know Peter mentioned that Stockton basically throughout the playoffs has been their leading field goal percentage guy. But when you look at the Jazz, everything comes through Karl Malone. He has taken twice as many field goal attempts as the second closest guy, Hornacek, twice as many free throw attempts as the second closest man, which is Hornacek. But let's look at some of the other ways that he helps his teammates during the course of the game. So many times the ball starts in the post, there he hits Stockton on the opening play, back cut for a layup. Again, ball in the post, reads the defensive team, looks opposite and finds Hornacek underneath for an easy score. And then when you're struggling from the floor, as he is, shooting only 5 for 14, you have to find other ways of coming up. Defensive rebound, he's the guy that got the ball, but pay attention. The mailman runs the center of the floor, right back to him in transition for one of those 5 field goals that he has. Great players find a way to help their team.
And we should mention Scottie Pippen, a lot of speculation on how he would play with the left foot injury. He's played 20 minutes, 3 of 6 from the floor for 8 points. It's halftime in Chicago. The Jazz lead the Bulls by 4. We'll send it back to courtside for the second half right after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Prudential, bringing strength and stability to America's families through insurance, healthcare, real estate, and financial services.
Welcome back to Chicago. Utah with a 42-38 lead on the Bulls. As we head to the second half, Marv Albert, Bill Walton, Matt Guokas. Matt, the playoff problems continue for the Chicago Bulls.
Well, they're staying almost exclusively with their triangle offense and settling for jump shots or post-up jump shots for Michael Jordan. The Bulls have only been to the foul line 6 times against a team like Utah that gives 30 foul shots a game. Chicago's got to come out and spread the offense.
Now, Bill, Utah not shooting well, but Jerry Sloan certainly has to be satisfied with many phases of his game.
Marv, it's their type of tempo. The Jazz in complete control, passing, the rebounding. The big thing for Utah, don't get overconfident. This thing is just getting started here.
Let's take a look at some of the Miller Lite halftime statistics. Looking at the Utah Jazz overall, just under 44% shooting, 16 of 36 from two-point range, only 5 three-point attempts, and just 4 of 5 at the line. Karl Malone, 20 minutes, 5 of 14 overall. You see the breakdown in terms of defending against Malone.
It's great, though, that Karl Malone is getting a lot of shots. An MVP-type player like Karl needs 25, 30 shots per game. Everything going well for him except the touch.
And for the Chicago Bulls, only 40% from the field, 14 of 33 from two-point range, 2 of 7 from downtown, and they too did not go to the line. 4 of 6 at the line. Jordan, 21 minutes, 6 of 14 overall.
And Utah has not had to double-team Michael Jordan because he's settling for that fadeaway jump shot. As soon as he starts to make a move into the lane, then he'll draw the defense.
So it is Utah with a 42-38 lead on Chicago. Back with the second half in a moment.
Ahmad Rashad back in Chicago. Phil Jackson told his team at halftime that they've got to get more second shots. He also told them they got to really take care of the ball because what's happening on their turnovers is Utah's getting a lot of easy, uncontested shots off the turnovers. Another thing that he told me, he wants them to start running the ball, get out, get them some easy shots on fast breaks. Let's go down to Jim Gray.
All right, thanks, Ahmad. Well, it was very confident, upbeat Utah locker room. Jerry Sloan told his team he was very happy with the pace and tempo of the game, wants to see much of the same in the second half. Defensively, he told them, hey, guys, you must not allow them any more offensive rebounds to get second chances. And on offense, he said, set and hold the picks, get better shots. Karl Malone finally said, I still like our chances. Marv?
All right, thanks, guys. Third quarter underway. 4-point Jazz lead. Utah ball as we get going. Hornacek, Stockton to the backcourt. Malone up front with Ostertag and Russell off the steal. Jordan stopped in the open floor and then run into by Russell.
How many times did Michael Jordan turn Brian Russell around that time?
Well, Karl Malone early in this game finding cutters because he couldn't find his shot. Here Isley finds Karl Malone running on the fast break, and Dennis Rodman has had problems with Malone's little fadeaway jump shot.
Luke Longley set up by Michael Jordan. Dennis Rodman more and more a factor off the offensive boards.
Disturbing situation on the first possession here at giving up an offensive rebound.
Pippen.
2 offensive rebounds. You have to establish yourself if you're going to have any chance to beat Chicago. 1 shot every time.
Utah Jazz went 64-18 during the regular season. That's a franchise record. Dangerous pass, and it backfired. Couple of bad possessions by the Jazz. Here's Jordan. Could not take advantage.
Well, Utah had 8 turnovers, uncharacteristic for them in the first half. And then to start the third quarter, 2 terrible passes.
Well, the passes are there, but the guards for Chicago, including Scottie Pippen, they have very, very long arms, great anticipation. Another turnover.
Stockton threw it away, but the Bulls gave it right back. Ostertag could not handle that pass from Stockton.
Sloppy start for Utah. And they haven't lost any ground.
Well, for a team that's capable of shooting 50% or better, Utah, you would think they would just make sure they come down a good shot. But a very bad start here in this third quarter for the Jazz.
And the crowd trying to get the Bulls going. A bad pass from Rodman.
Poor spacing on this break, but they run through and create for Hornacek.
Hopper able to color it. The Chicago Bulls, 69-13 during the regular season, did not have many top-flight moments in the playoffs. Through the series against Washington, then Atlanta, then Miami. And Hopper's pass deflected away. That following the fake, which put Stockton on the floor.
Stockton is a tough, hard-nosed defender who will stand in against anyone, no matter how big they are. Everybody's getting their hands on passes here.
Oh, Scottie Pippen with a good-looking three-point shot. He drilled it, and Pippen is showing some signs despite the foot injury. 4 of 8 from the field. He has 11 points. Holding foul, says the outside official. Head rush, it's on Ron Hopper.
Well, the Chicago Bulls, during the regular season, scoring that 103 points a ball game, but it has been going down, down, down. Now, that's a lot of that has to do with playoff basketball, a lot of half-court play, very little transition, but this was ridiculous.
Jeff Hornacek. So the Jazz leading now 44-41. Hornacek playing Jordan. Malone with the rebound. That's 8 rebounds for Karl Malone.
Look at Karl on the run. Rodman didn't get back.
And Pippen had a notion to run. Utah did get back. Pippen for 3.
Wild shot.
And in many cases, John Stockton would have flipped that ball ahead to Brian Russell, but the way that the Jazz have been turning it over, he wants to make sure.
Russell. Nice lead pass for Russell. His second field goal, he has 7 points, and the Jazz lead by 5.
Marv, never underestimate the athleticism of this Utah team, particularly Brian Russell and Shandon Anderson.
Let it go! Let it go!
That shot goes down for Luke Longley. You can phone in this championship.
Bill, he actually made a couple of those in the Miami series. Look at this third quarter. More turnovers than points.
Jordan screening for Rodman. That's what it's come to.
Well, Dennis Rodman looking for the offense. In fact, was a post-up go-to player the last couple of games against the Miami Heat. That's his second field goal here tonight. The Jazz 46, the Bulls 43. Off the block, Pippen, uncontested. The Utah lead is 1. The chant of defense. Malone comes out to set the screen. The lead for Malone off the pick and roll.
Well, Utah expects Chicago to send that pick and roll towards the baseline. And Jerry Sloan telling me yesterday, John Stockton actually likes that. He knows where everybody is, and he showed right there why he likes it so much.
Pippen lost the handle. Scottie Pippen looking very active here in this third quarter. Overall, 13 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 block shots. 13 on the 24. Chicago maintaining possession. Hopper and Jordan at the guards. Pippen, Rodman, and Longley up front. Pippen putting moves on Russell and hit it.
Scottie Pippen, one of the greatest players of all time, schooling Brian Russell, an up-and-coming star. Brian has to play better, though. He was 1 for 12 in the regular season loss here at Utah at Chicago.
The Jazz by 1. Hornacek squeezing his way through. Ostertag with the rebound and the tip.
To be over 7 feet tall, what a dream.
Something that Matt and I cannot relate to, Bill.
I never quite made it, Mark. It's a paltry 6'11".
Ostertag at 7'2", about 280 pounds. Rodman, air ball.
The Bulls have resorted to setting double screens for Dennis Rodman to shoot jumpers.
And the Utah Jazz aren't going to guard him if he's going to keep shooting that way.
Utah by 3 as we come up on 6 minutes remaining in this third quarter. Stockton.
Beautiful play, Stockton. They're still figuring out how Chicago is going to play the pick and roll.
Scottie Pippen with 7 of the Bulls, 9 points in this third quarter. Malone comes out aggressively on Pippen. Phil Jackson wanted a foul called. Hopper waving it off. Now Jordan posting up Hornacek. Going glass. The Jazz 50, the Bulls 49.
By and large, Utah has denied penetration. Scottie everywhere trying to provide the spark.
Shot clock at 7. Hornacek. Jeff Hornacek getting the roll. That's his 3rd field goal. He has 6, and it's the Jazz by 3.
And the reason why Chicago wants to send it down, force it down, the one time they sent Stockton actually behind the backboard made that a tough shot. But it's very difficult to find options when you force that dribbler down.
Michael Jordan hacked on the play. He's headed to the line, and a timeout is taken. Scottie Pippen has been a major factor here in the third quarter.
Good to see him exerting himself, first with the block and then the easy breakaway. Taking care of that foot, not extending himself, and then in the post, just taking advantage of the younger but very, very talented Brian Russell. Scottie Pippen, nice little hook step to the baseline, jump hook, face.
5:05 remaining in the third. It's the Jazz by 3.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Brewery Fresh Budweiser, who reminds you fresh beer tastes better. By Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile retailers. And by Reebok, helping athletes perform at the top of their game.
Welcome back to Chicago. On that last play, Karl Malone of the Utah Jazz reopened the wound on his right hand that he suffered a floor burn in the last series against Houston. Now, during the timeout, that wound was attended to by Mike Sheminsky, the trainer of the Utah Jazz. He's struggling with it. He put another patch on it. What he really can't do, though, is cover it during the game because it takes all feel away from him. So he wants it to get hardened again, but the problem is the sweat keeps getting on it. Now there's blood and sweat controlled during the timeout. He should continue. Marv?
All right, thanks, Jim.
Marv, it's a big, open, ugly, nasty sore. It just oozes all the time, and not really something that is fun to deal with, and will not close up really until he stops playing basketball for quite a long period of time.
Michael Jordan at the line for the first time. Scottie Pippen has really lifted his play here in the third quarter despite the foot injury. For more of that, let's check in with Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Marv. You know, the injury is more that Scottie is adjusting to it. It hasn't gotten any better. He's still painful. At halftime, he took his shoe off, readjusted his foot a little bit, but the pain is still there. It's just the fact that he's dealing with it a lot better. Marv?
All right, thanks, Ahmad. Jazz by 2, just under 5 minutes remaining in this third quarter. Howard Eisley, who just returned, played well in the first half. Came up short. There's Pippen with the steal.
Phil Jackson has gone to a lineup right now. John Stockton's out of the game, but you got Pippen, Jordan, Kukoc as your wing players, Longley and Robin in front. This could give John Stockton a lot of trouble down the stretch.
Jordan and Hornacek reaching for that rebound.
I think Phil Jackson might want to go smaller, get Longley out of there as Jordan gets called for the reach-in foul. You go smaller because Utah's controlling the boards, play with more quickness. The power game for Chicago not effective right now.
Right, Bill, right now he has Longley with Rodman and Kukoc, Jordan, and Pippen, and the matchup is Jordan defending on Hornacek. Stockton is getting a rest. Eisley is on the floor, being played here by Kukoc. Oh, wild pass.
Greg Ostertag he's upset with his teammate right now. I think it's Brian Russell for I don't think he threw the pass. It was Eisley who whipped it in there, but Greg Ostertag has to keep his hands up. He's going to break his nose.
I like that pass. Throw it in there nice and hard right at the head. Hit him in the head the next time. He'll catch it, I guarantee it.
Utah with 14 turnovers, 6 in this third quarter. Along with the box out and a high elbow that was avoided by Pippen.
He was pushed first by Rodney.
Oh, that makes it all right.
He was pushed into Scottie.
Eisley to the crossover. Setting it up for Ostertag, and it's a travel. Greg Ostertag, #1 draft pick out of Kansas last year, came a long way this season. Here's a look at that elbow that was avoided by Pippen.
He just put it up. He didn't swing it. Yeah, if they want to bite your elbows, Marv, there's nothing you can do about that.
From one big guy to another who has had personal experience. 3.5 left in this first half. And it's Utah by 2. Jordan lost the dribble, but a reach-in and a foul against the Jazz. Ball was knocked away from Michael Jordan. Howard Eisley picks it up, his first.
And what this lineup for Chicago does is make Utah make a decision, and what they've gone with right now is put their point guard, Howard Eisley, on Michael Jordan. Mismatch.
Foul on Eisley. That is his second, and for the Jazz, their 4th team foul.
And when Michael gets that post position against a smaller player like that, the Jazz know they have to come and help out, as all 5 purple shirts in the paint ready to give Howard Eisley some help.
And turnovers beginning to hurt Utah. They now have 15-7 in the third quarter. They not committed more than 16 in a playoff game this year. A reminder, tonight, right here on NBC, after the Bulls and the Jazz, on most of these NBC stations, there is terrific must-see TV comedy heading your way. Third Rock from the Sun and Men Behaving Badly. That's all coming at you tonight after Game 1 of the NBA Finals, right here on NBC.
Jerry Sloan up. Remember, he calls all the plays. Even with the brilliance of Stockton, who's not playing now, Sloan will call everything.
Oh, what a move by Eisley.
And a great call by Jerry Sloan, because the Bulls trying to hide Kukoc, a poor perimeter defender, on the point guard. So Utah just spread the floor, took advantage of it.
Utah by 2. 2:45 remaining in the third. And the ball back to the Jazz. Timeout is being called by Chicago.
Eisley isolated against Kukoc. The shake and bake, the hesitation. Kukoc trying to find his center of balance. Can't get it. Eisley, nothing but net.
the product of Boston College, Howard Eisley. Well, earlier we saw Dennis Rodman take an elbow from Karl Malone. These two guys have been going at each other from time to time during the course of tonight's game. We talked with Karl Malone on what it's like in going up against Dennis Rodman.
I'm not going to get caught up in a Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman situation. I've walked away of situations in my life, and you call everything from a wimp to things you can't say on TV. But that's fine with me. I've worked 12 years to get here. I'm not going to look back when this season, this series over with, and say to myself, God, I shouldn't have did that. Will I take some elbows and things from Dennis? Absolutely. Will I give some as this series go on? Probably so.
And both players have kept it under control, and both players not getting involved with the official. That's a good sign.
Karl rarely gets involved with the officials. Only when they're taking it from him.
Michael Jordan with a good angle jump shot following up on the Jeff Hornacek roll. So the Jazz now leads 56-54 with 2 minutes left in this third quarter. Now Russell handling up high against Buechler. Goes right at him. Pippen rebounds. Kukoc running the floor.
The Jazz have gone away from Karl Malone. He's only taken 5 shots since the first quarter when he took 11.
Jordan putting moves on Eisley and pops it out. Pippen for 3. The Bulls 57 and the Jazz 56. 18 for Scottie Pippen. Here's Malone. Karl Malone right back. But he has not shot well. He's 7 of 17. He has 14 points along with 12 rebounds. The Jazz by 1. 1 minute to go. And the foul is against Chicago. It's an offensive foul on Jud Buechler.
Scottie Pippen gets wide open because they have to double team Jordan with the lineup that Chicago's coming with, and Eisley the only guy in there to match up with Jordan. Karl Malone can get that top of the key jumper anytime he wants.
Hornacek, 3 for Jeff Hornacek, who has caught fire, and the Jazz now lead 61-57.
At the open, we talked about Jordan wide open.
It counts out the foul. Eisley turned his head, and Jordan beat him backdoor. So Jordan to the line. That's 3 on Howard Eisley.
Well, it's difficult enough for the big guards of Utah, Shannon Anderson, Jeff Hornacek, to try to play Michael Jordan throughout this offense, but nearly impossible for a point guard like Howard Eisley. Not used to seeing Michael Jordan. He's getting killed right now.
3-point play for Michael. He is 22 for the game. It's Utah by 1 with just under 40 seconds to go in the third quarter. Eisley for 3. Howard Eisley comes right back.
He's just playing one-on-one with Michael Jordan out here. It's a lifetime dream come true. Utah, I think, should put Eisley on Buechler and then put Hornacek on Jordan here.
Well, Jordan shooting over Hornacek. Down to 15 seconds remaining in the quarter. Utah with the ball up by 4.
Bust him again.
Down to 5 seconds. Eisley lost it. Here's Pippen. Chased by Hornacek. And Pippen goes all the way. 5/10 of a second remaining in the quarter. After 3 here in Chicago. Game 1 of the NBA Finals. It's the Utah Jazz 64 and the Chicago Bulls 62.
Well, Howard Eisley getting a little bit too frisky and turns it over, and it's been a terrible turnover quarter for the Utah Jazz as Scottie Pippen has really come alive.
So that's the end of the third. We'll be back here in Chicago after these messages from your local station. You are watching the NBA on NBC.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the NBA.
Welcome back to the United Center in Chicago. Low scoring start for both clubs. Utah up 18-17 after one. It's a 64-62 game as we head to the fourth quarter. This game one of the best of seven NBA final series. Chicago outscored Utah, as you saw, 24-22 in the third quarter. 12 points for Scottie Pippen and 10 for Michael Jordan for 22 of the 24. Jeff Hornacek had a big third quarter. 9 points in the third for Hornacek. Harper for three. That one did not look good on the release.
It's the Jazz rhythm right now. They're in control of this game. And Stockton is, oh, shoot the layup, please.
Malone. And last touch by Chicago, but Utah very upset that there was no foul called on that contact.
Brian Russell's head was last touched by Brian Williams as he hammered him to the floor.
Stockton unselfish to a fault there. Should have been 2 points.
Stockton and Anderson now in the backcourt with Foster up front along with Russell and Malone. Jerry Sloan has done some shuffling, as has Phil Jackson. Brian Williams back in. Pippen got a piece of it to break up the pass.
Well, that's what Scottie Pippen can do for you defensively, sensing where that ball was supposed to go and timing his jump just to spoil the play, as it looked like Karl Malone had good low post position.
Here is Russell. And Harper with the rebound. Brian Russell just 2 of 8 shooting. So Tony Kukoc on the floor with Pippen and Williams and Bushler and Harper. Pippen. Harper with the rebound and foul. Let's check in with Jim Gray. Jim?
All right, well, Karl Malone is going to come out of the game. Antoine Carr will go in. Karl Malone is having terrible trouble with the right palm of his hand from that nasty gash. They really can't get it to stop bleeding and pussing, and it just continues to get worse as this game goes on, and there's really no way they can cover it, Marv, because if they cover it, he'll have absolutely no feel of the ball at all. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Jim. So Karl Malone sitting down once again as Ron Harper goes to the line for the first time. Ron Harper yet to score. Utah.
Utah needs to find a hot hand and stick with them. They have not done that. Antoine Carr hits his first touch jumper. Now they need to establish more continuity. They've always gone away from the guy who's made the previous basket. Not good strategy.
Michael Jordan sitting down, getting a rest. Scottie Pippen. Yes. Well, Scottie Pippen with 22.
Well, as Michael Jordan gets a rest, the Bulls have to find some kind of offense, and it's been Scottie Pippen throughout this game. And to think we thought he was going to be well below par in this ballgame, he's having a terrific one.
Scottie Pippen came in as a question mark because of that strained foot. Basket won't count. And a foul before the shot attempt.
Brian Russell defensively keeps chasing. Now, Scottie's never going to shoot a turnaround three going left. Brian Russell playing an undisciplined defensive ball game right now, and is showing up back on his offense. He's a better player than that.
Foul called on Brian Williams. Hey, what's your reaction to the report by Pete Messi on Showtime earlier? Chuck Daly, the new head coach of the Orlando Magic.
Well, obviously the Magic wanting that championship experience that Chuck Daly can give you, having won 2 championships in '89-90 with the Detroit Pistons.
I thought Matt Guokas was still coaching that franchise. He'll make it fun to play there. Yeah, Chuck Daly, a great coup.
We're under the same impression.
Miller Genuine Draft presents a classic moment of the NBA at 50.
Tonight we look back at the 1991 NBA Finals. Lakers and the Bulls. Game 1. The Bulls led 91-89 with time running out. But Sam Perkins hit this clutch three-pointer as the Lakers took Game 1, the first NBA Finals game in Bulls history. The Bulls did come back to win the next 4. In recognition of this classic moment, the Miller Brewing Company will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. As you can see, the team of the 90s, the Chicago Bulls, the first of the 4 championships, followed by 3 more. Michael Jordan right now getting a rest. He will make his return very shortly. Carr extends to the 68-65 Utah lead. Antoine Carr with 6 points.
Outstanding team basketball once again for Utah. The penetration, the dish, and then finally they come back to a guy who made the jumper before.
See Scottie Pippen's work, 14 points.
Kukoc shuffled his feet and they didn't call it.
Scottie doing his damage in the second half. Stockton and Anderson in the backcourt. Foster with Carr and Russell up front. Here's Foster, has the good touch. Not that time, though. Stockton calls for time. Now Stockton saving the possession. So with 3 minutes gone by in this fourth quarter, it will be Utah ball when we resume. And the Jazz up by the score of 68-65. Well, for those of you who would like to continue with the NBA Finals, we'll have a post-game special on CNBC. That'll be immediately following the game. Our entire cast will recount it all with highlights and live press conference interviews and guests as we look back at Game 1 here in Chicago. That's the NBA Finals post-game special immediately following tonight's game.
Well, one of the reasons why I think Jerry Sloan gets so much out of his bench is he's every player coming up knows when he's going to get to play. We got Shannon Anderson, a rookie, getting meaningful playing time in the fourth quarter.
Jerry Sloan, one-time head coach of the Chicago Bulls, coached here in Chicago in 80 and 81 and 82, replaced incidentally by a fellow by the name of Rod Thorne. Had a solid playing career here in Chicago. Very, very popular player.
Rod Thorne, of course, is now the director of operations and enforcement of all the rules for the NBA. Rod always looking over my shoulder.
Yes, as player and broadcaster.
Tonight, the big 4-4, the 50 greatest players in the history of this game. Jordan and Pippen with the points. Karl Malone, a lot of shot attempts. I'd like to see John Stockton shoot a little bit more myself.
Well, I'm surprised that Utah has not run more pick and rolls. They're usually good for about 50 a game. They're not even about half that.
They went away from it in the Houston series, Matt, because of the way Houston guarded them, and they haven't come back to it.
And a reach-in foul. Once again, it's on Carr. That's his fourth.
Scottie Pippen, the ability to shoot the jumper, something he's developed, and his defense has always been spectacular. But we're seeing Scottie Pippen playing on a bad leg, now playing a game of skill as opposed to athleticism, which he entered this league in quite a few years ago.
See the turnaround by Pippen in the second half. Pippen over Russell. Mentioned John Stockton not taking that many shots. Just 4 of 6 from the field. Bulls able to break it up. Utah with 19 on the shot clock. Here comes Michael Jordan. Jordan over the scorer's table. He'll check in with 8 minutes and 3 seconds to go in this fourth quarter. And the hand is for Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen has kept the Bulls in the game tonight. And off the inbounds, Ed Rush with the indication. Foul is called, or kickball.
Execution on the baseline out of bounds play. Karl Malone, the best passing big man, just picks him right apart, right through the arms of the helpless defenders.
A tripping foul at the kicking indication on Jordan.
Well, we saw Michael Jordan have some defensive lapses early in the first quarter, and then coming hot off the bench, made a lapse right there as he tried to overplay that underneath out of bounds play.
That's 3 on Jordan. Here's Stockton. Well, John Stockton with only his 7th shot of the game. He has 13 points, 8 assists. It's the Jazz 70 and the Bulls 65. Jordan and Harper at the guards. Bushler with Rodman and Williams up front. Harper is open for three. And that is his first field goal.
And with John Stockton helping off Ron Harper, he has been open time and time again, unable to get a good-looking shot until that one. But Stockton, a very good help defender.
Brian Russell is gambling foolishly, and it's not paying off defensively.
Utah with the ball up by 2. 5 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter. Malone hit from behind by Williams. He and Williams in a wrestling match along the baseline.
The bread and butter for the Utah Jazz is their pick and roll. Karl Malone will slide up, set a massive pick right there, and then Stockton steps over. He's coming off thinking jumper the whole way. Again, the decision-making capability of John Stockton unsurpassed. First free throw attempt for Karl tonight.
Karl Malone shooting 77% from the line in the playoffs. He had an 18-for-18 game in the playoffs this season. The free throw percentage during the regular season up to 76. You recall last year he was 57% at the line in playoff competition. Timeout is called with 7 minutes to go in the fourth.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper is the taste. By the 97 Mitsubishi Montero Sport, the smooth riding sport utility vehicle built for living. And by Miller Genuine Draft, who reminds you it's time for a good old macro brew.
Well, a beautiful night here in the Windy City. We're just past 8:35 Chicago time. 7 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter, and the Jazz with a 70-68 lead over the Bulls.
Karl Malone coming back for one more free throw, but you look at his first and third quarters during this year's playoffs. Great numbers, good start to each half, but it drops off. That could be his hand, it could be the strategy, could be fewer minutes, could also be the collapsing defense as he punishes them early.
Well, this is not a typical Karl Malone game. True, he has resorted to more perimeter jump shooting, which will keep him off the foul line, but he's got to barrel into the basket and then get to the free throw line a lot more.
The Jazz leading 71-68. Over the last 2 years here at home in the playoffs, the Bulls have won 17 and lost only once, and that loss was game 2 against Atlanta this season in the second round. Scottie Pippen continues his magnificent performance. It cuts it to a 1-point Utah lead.
You saw that bench scoring number heavily in favor 2-1 of Utah. That's been the way for the Jazz all playoffs as Karl Malone drills that jumper.
And Longley got a piece of it. Malone with 17, the Jazz 73, and the Bulls 70. It's game 1 of the best of 7, game 2 here in Chicago on Wednesday. And then the scene will shift to Salt Lake City beginning on Friday night. Harper for 3. And a loose ball foul.
Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman getting mixed up there. They're calling a double foul here. They'll jump it up at center court.
Malone and Rodman a call for the double foul.
Well, it's getting down to that time where the Jazz have to make some important decisions as to how they're going to guard Michael Jordan, who normally takes over a game in the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. And it looks like Stockton is going to continue to gamble off Ron Harper and double Michael as soon as he feels he's making his move.
Well, the Jazz able to control the tip with just under 6 minutes remaining in the fourth.
Marv, this is MVP time. This is when you pound it inside to Karl Malone and let him go to work.
And here's Malone.
Or settle for a jump shot. But he is taking Luke Longley out there where Luke Longley is just not going to be an effective defender.
Turning face against the big guy. Torture him.
19 for Malone. Utah by 5. 5.5 remaining. Nice pass from Longley. Good look by Luke Longley. It's now 75-72.
Same thing. Karl Malone every single time.
Malone again from the outside. Rodman with the rebound. Good box out on Carr. Pippen being played by the rookie Anderson. Jordan posting up on Hornacek. Here comes Anderson. Shot clock at 4. And it's stolen by Stockton.
Bring it out and get something good.
The battle between Pippen and Malone.
It was so loud you couldn't hear the whistle. Everybody was playing.
Illegal defense called for the first time on Chicago.
Well, off the pick and roll, John Stockton drawing the defense to him, and a little pick and pop for Karl Malone as Luke Longley too slow getting out there. And then once again, Luke Longley too slow to react and challenge that shot by Karl Malone.
I don't know anybody in basketball who could ever guard that play by Karl Malone. That's a 21-foot jumper.
Stockton lost it. He thought he was fouled. And Jordan looking to reset. Hornacek is with him. Here comes Malone. Here's Jordan. Yes. The Utah lead is down to 1 with just under 4 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. 17 turnovers tonight for Utah. That's a team playoff high for this year. And a foul is called away from the ball, to hold on Longley.
Michael Jordan going to work on Jeff Hornacek. Karl Malone coming over to double team, but is going to overrun the play and let Michael Jordan knife inside to get that shot off. When you double Michael, you better make sure you clamp him.
14 fouls on Chicago, 3 on Utah. Here's Stockton. Wild pass. That's turnover number 7 committed by John Stockton.
Utah needs to play with poise here.
Jordan behind the back. Sets it up for Longley. Yes. The Bulls have taken a 1-point lead. Run for Chicago. Hornacek for 3. Can't handle it. Pippen does. Jordan gets to the rebound, but a loose ball foul from behind on Rodman.
John Stockton down the lane. Now, you never jump to pass. He's thinking, looking, trying to find Karl Malone. That turnover, the 18th of the game, comes to Michael Jordan in the open court there, one-on-one against Hornacek. Finds the spot-up jump shooting Luke Longley. Net.
Three minutes remaining in the fourth quarter, and the Bulls now lead the Jazz 76-75.
Well, terrific shooting by the two stars, and you certainly expect Michael Jordan to bounce back from some of the uneven shooting performances that he has, but an unbelievable performance by Scottie Pippen, who was very questionable, doubtful that he would even play in this ballgame. The rest of the Chicago Bulls not involved very much offensively.
But that has been the strategy for Jerry Sloan. Make the individual stars, Akeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal, beat you, shut down the rest of the guys. Now, Karl Malone's delivery time.
1 of 2 at the line for Malone. Another glaring statistic from a negative vein for Utah. John Stockton with 7 turnovers. That equals a season high as we look at the career playoff numbers of Karl Malone.
Well, you can pencil in that 27 in just about any game that Karl Malone plays, but you would expect the field goal percentage to be a little bit higher, but it's down, I think, because he has become more of a perimeter jump shooter.
Clutch free throw shooting by the NBA's most valuable player, Karl Malone. And the Jazz leading by 1. Just under 3 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Jordan posting, putting moves on Hornacek, and was forced into a difficult shot. Hornacek played him well.
Great defense by Hornacek, staying on his feet. The crowd here trying to make some noise, but really almost all you hear is the rattling and shaking of their jewelry.
Is this a commentary on Midwestern life?
You'll hear a different crowd in Utah, I guarantee you that.
Carr on the recovery. And Jordan was stopped, but Kukoc recovered. Again, Jordan working on Hornacek, this time at the other side. Jordan, will it count? Will he get the call? No. Will not. The Bulls wanted it. The foul before the shot attempt on Hornacek.
And a break for Utah, as I'm sure Jerry Sloan reminded his team coming out of that last timeout. They had a foul to give, although I don't think that was an intentional one. Michael clearly had Hornacek and the double team beat.
Next foul will put them over the limit. Here's Jordan.
Yes.
Michael Jordan has worked his way back in terms of the stroke, and the Bulls lead by 1.
The double team coming too slow and not tough enough.
28 points for Jordan. We are down to 1:40 to go in the fourth. Can of defense. Malone with the opening. Malone with the drive.
And I guess what set all that up was the fact that he has been making that outside shot, and it sucked Luke Longley right out there so Malone could get the penetration.
23 points for Karl Malone. Utah by 1. 1:20 remaining in the fourth. Jordan spinning his way on Hornacek. Rebounded by Harper. Pippen for 3. Yes! Chicago 81, Utah 79 as we approach 1 minute remaining. And the fourth of game 1 of the best of 7 NBA Final Series. Stockton for 3, yes! A Jazz by 1, 82-81.
One stop, that's all the Jazz need right now. Their offense is in gear. They got to pound that glass.
40 seconds remaining in the fourth. Jordan. And a foul is called on Hornacek. It puts Utah over the limit.
John Stockton, after almost everybody on the team touched it, John, they finally gave it back to him and almost forced him to shoot. Drilled the 3 like he did to clinch the Houston series. And now Jordan at the line.
Timeouts remaining. Utah has 3. Chicago at 3 and a 20. Both teams over the limit. Jordan 4 of 5 at the line. And the game is tied at 82.
And Dennis Rodman coming on for Chicago for the defensive sequence, and no doubt to try to help on the backboard.
The game clock favors the Chicago Bulls. The way it is right now, they'll have the last possession if they can contain their own or control their own defensive backboard.
Down to 35 and 8/10 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Michael Jordan missing on the second attempt. The score remains tied at 82.
It's got to be Karl Malone here. This is MVP time.
Malone down at the right baseline being defended by Rodman. Shot clock is down to 5. 15 seconds on the game clock. Stockton setting it up for the 3. And Malone with the recovery. And a foul has been called. Looks like a loose ball foul being indicated by Bill Oakes. It's against Chicago. It's on Rodman.
Well, first of all, it was terrific defense by the Chicago Bulls on the high pick and roll. Stockton had to go back towards his own man, forced to take a tough shot. But Dennis Rodman hanging on to that back and pulling on Karl Malone, who just wanted that rebound more than anybody else.
He's 3 of 4 at the line. 23 points, 15 rebounds, 9 and 2/10 seconds to go. Remember Malone hit just 6 of 12 at the line. Game 7 at Seattle last year in the Western Finals. I also mentioned he had that 18 for 18 this year in the playoffs. See the numbers right there. Both teams have plenty of timeouts remaining. Scores tied. 9 seconds left. Oh, he missed them both. Rebounded by Jordan. And the Bulls take a timeout with 7 and 5/10 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. Down to 7 and 5/10 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. The game is tied at 82. A look at that second free throw by Karl Malone.
Extremely soft touch on both of them, and keep an eye on Karl Malone backing up as he shot, and you should never do that. You got to hang in there on the free throw and follow through.
But that's behind you. You got to move on. They've come with Shandon Anderson here to guard Scottie Pippen. They got Brian Russell on Michael Jordan. Disciplined defense, forced the fadeaway jumper. Don't foul.
Jazz over the foul limit. We're down to 5. Jordan putting moves on Russell. We're down to 2. Now to 1. Here's Jordan. Yes! It is all over. The Chicago Bulls have won at the buzzer in game 1 of the best of 7 on the jump shot by Michael Jordan. With an 84-82 victory in dramatic fashion over the Utah Jazz. Michael Jordan going right at Brian Russell and hitting on the jump shot.
Standard set play, end of game for the Chicago Bulls, and a smart play by Chicago by putting the ball in Jordan's hands where it'd be very difficult to come double team. They took Stockton away. Of course, with Steve Kerr, he had to watch him, and Brian Russell at Michael Jordan's mercy.
But Phil Jackson, so calm all the time, gets up and goes, all right, I like that guy on my team. But they got it to Jordan early, and Brian Russell stabbed at it. He didn't play the position. He gave Jordan the opening.
So Michael Jordan with 31 points, including the game winner. He's with Ahmad Rashad.
All right, thanks, Mark. Michael, you were so businesslike all day. You knew this was not going to be an easy task, and you rose to the occasion.
Well, you know, the first game is always a tougher game. I don't care what anybody says. I think Utah came in, they played extremely well. I'm pretty sure they're going to take a moral victory from today's game. But, you know, I think we had a good feel for them. We found out a good feel for them. And, you know, down the stretch, it was nip and tuck. You know, it could have went either way. And, you know, I missed the free throw call, comes down and missed 2 free throws. So, I mean, MVP didn't do much down the stretch until I was able to knock the shot in down the stretch.
It was almost like a boxing match, sparring. You know, nobody really throwing a knockout punch till it got down to the end.
No, it was a close game all throughout the game, and, you know, it was going back and forth, and whoever made the best plays down the stretch was going to win the ball game.
Well, it is on. It is on. And we will see you on Wednesday. All right, great game. All right, let's go over to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Ahmad. I'm here with Scottie Pippen. Scottie, how were you able to play and manage to play through all this pain today?
Well, Jim, I spent a lot of time since Friday doing treatment, you know, ice, heat, you know, kind of alternating, trying to take some of the soreness out of it. And today I was just able to tolerate a lot of it.
Now, you said something to Karl Malone just before he shot those free throws. You guys are close friends. What did you say to him to throw him off?
I said a mailman doesn't deliver on a Sunday. So he missed the foul shot.
Do you feel as though you guys were lucky to escape with this victory?
Well, we were. You know, both teams are going to play very close games. It's going to be tough, and it's just a matter of whoever execute down the stretch, and that's what it came down to today.
Tell us about that last shot, your thoughts as Michael took it.
Well, I mean, we ran the play to perfection. Give Michael the ball, told him don't leave any time on the clock to give him a second chance, and, you know, he just eyed it out and took the best shot that he felt good about.
Did you aggravate your foot at all tonight, or do you feel as though you'll be able to be fine and play on Wednesday?
I feel fine. I don't think I aggravated. At certain times, I tried to do things that, you know I can't do by pushing off real hard, and I got a little pain there when I pulled back, but I'll be fine Wednesday.
Scottie, congratulations. A real gutsy performance.
All right, thanks.
All right, let's send it back over to Marv.
Thank you, Jim. The celebration continues here at the United Center in Chicago. What a performance by Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan, 31 points, including the game winner for Jordan. The legend continues with yet another game winner in the NBA Finals. Another look, setting it up with a crossover against Brian Russell, and then hitting from the angle at the buzzer. Let's take another look at it. It was Chicago ball in possession following the 2 missed free throws by Karl Malone, and here it is.
Another real key was how quickly they got the ball to Michael Jordan. No wasted motion. He went right at him. Perfect execution, the footwork. He's made that jumper quite a few times. It all comes together in the finals for him.
13 of 27, 31 points, 8 assists in his 41 minutes. The Bulls take game 1 from Utah. We'll be back with more from Chicago in a moment. Once again, our final score in dramatic fashion on the game-winning jump shot by Michael Jordan. The Chicago Bulls take game 1 over the Utah Jazz, 84-82. The NBA Finals underway Wednesday at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific. It'll be game 2 from Chicago right here on NBC. And coming up next on most of these NBC stations, there is must-see TV comedy heading your way. Third Rock from the Sun and Men Behaving Badly. That's next right here on NBC. For those of you who would like to continue with the NBA Finals, interviews and post-game activities will be available on CNBC. That's immediately after these messages. So for Matt Gukas, Bill Walton, Ahmad Rashad, and Jim Gray, I'm Marv Albert saying so long from the United Center in Chicago. Final score again, game 1 of the NBA Finals, the Bulls 84 and the Jazz 82. This has been a presentation of the NBA on NBC.